So it's my pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Rina Daly-Goode. She's an ordained, how do you pronounce that, Maggid?
Maggid, yes.
Jewish spiritual mentor, a creative intimacy builder, and a minister of joy. For more than 30 years, Rina has been the Jewish spiritual educator with the Bnai Horin-Children of Freedom Renewal community. She's been passing on the ancient chants, wisdom, and traditions to the ones seeking to connect to their ancestral roots. Her fascination with earth-based tribal culture, together with a passion for free spirit, ecstatic dancing, fused into a calling to share the joy of Jewishness, to create celebration, making life special moments. As part of her healing journey to overcome sexual trauma, Rina explored pathways for authentic relating and reclaiming her original sensual innocence, eventually offering private sessions and retreats where the real, wise, and wild expressions of the empowered feminine are welcomed. During her master's training in spiritual psychology at USM, University of Santa Monica, Rina noticed how many of us are lonely, touch deprived, and have no one to discuss intimate matters with. Now, as a sacred confidant, Rina provides nurturing sessions in a shame-free zone to explore and integrate one's unique erotic nature. Rina lives the urban version of her dream life in West LA, Love Hub community. She established in 2004 with her partner, Johnny B. Good, 3 housemates and a python. Rina's next big dream is to establish a community homestead for upbeat aging friends seeking to coexist in a joyful levity, and as time comes, exit in dignity. So with that, Rina is going to share with us climbing the Kabbalistic tree of life.
Yay!
Yay.
So, how many of us like to climb trees? I am about to put a presentation, and this presentation is inspired by the period of time. It's actually a particular holiday where as people, follow the Jewish tradition, are just a minute, are working on climbing levels of holiness. As a child, I was always confused. What does it mean to climb our level of holiness? And it's representing the time of kind of the living, the Exodus, and that kind of slave mentality, or the lack of awareness of our capacity, into after 50 days of mindful meditation in rising in our own sense of fullness and divinity. By the 50th day, we have this kind of celebration of revelation. So, and we use the symbol of the tree of life as the model for having the optimum life. And it was fun to see the symbol of the tree showing up in so many areas in nature, in our lungs, and kind of the trees in our brain, the kind of the channel of how life comes through and enhance. So with that in mind, I want to share with you that in mysticism, we imagine that the tree of life has its roots up in the kind of divine. We could say the roots are in heaven. So we are all channels of life force, with our roots not in this ground. Actually, soon when we're going to learn about the model of the tree of life, the what we call kingdom is really what we are pouring into this physical earth. But in our essence, we are spiritual being who are gathering all our our knowledge, our experiences, and our ability to stay open to flow. So let's just close our eyes for a second and just feel the seat, feel the area that supports you right now. Connect to the heart beat, all the systems that are supporting life right now. And I invite you to see your roots connected to source of the most divine, powerful, Ein Sof, all possibilities exist. This is where we come from in our essence, in the spiritual world. Let's take 3 breaths into that. Kind of sense the nourishment going through your roots into the trunk of your being that feeds your leaves and all that you are putting out in the world. And with the next breath, open your eyes to explore the next model of the tree of life the Kabbalistic tree of life. And this is the cosmic map. This is the cosmic map that was presented to us in the middle of the 15th century, where the Kabbalistic text came, through called the Zohar. And this Kabbalistic tree has 10 spheres, and we call them divine emanations. And today I would like to explore those emanations. Now, as you can see here on the right-hand side, where there is this human being here with a beard, you see, and above the head, there are 3 other centers. So this is kind of has to do with awareness. This I'm going to focus with the 7 bottoms spheres of energy. We're going to explore each one. I just want to acknowledge that the top one is called Keter. You see in the middle diagram, there's the Keter, and Keter means crown, and it has to do with our, again, full divinity, our connected to the highest realm. And the 2 other elements on the sides are Chokhmah and Bina, and has to do with our perceptions, our ability to draw wisdom and apply our awareness, create intelligence, being able to make better choices through our awareness. So those 3 realms are not seen as embodied in our bodies, but the other qualities are kind of, we see them as being part of our human body, and each part has an area of the body that represents it. So, and like a kid who climbs a tree, I know I loved climbing a tree, when you climb a tree, you see the world with new perspectives. So I'm inviting us to take a journey with me through the tree of life, and hopefully you'll have some inner perspective and outer perspective that will continue to inform you. So, so it has, so this is the general map. I'm going to go actually. So we imagine that this cosmic map is actually, as I said, embedded in our body. And just a minute. So the first one is Chesed. Chesed. I'll go back to Chesed just a second. I want you to look at number 4 here on the side. It's called Chesed. And Chesed, everyone, can you just like kind of move your right arm as like you are giving, sharing? I want you to connect to the right arm and the hands. Carries the energy of loving kindness. So we believe the most important thing, what makes life works, what makes life happen, the most important quality is loving kindness. It's like the basic building block of this universe. So, so the loving kindness is the first emotional attribute of the soul, and it's the motivating force. Chesed is also sometimes called Gedula, the largest, for it nurtures the other attributes of the soul into a full development and maturity. So with each quality, I'm going to share some of the pathways we can develop that quality, and I'm open to either for your input if you have other pathways or other suggestions for way of developing that. But so so loving kindness can happen when we are doing kind things for ourselves or for others, when we affirm love and share love, when we sing and smile, or hold visions for a better world for others. Anybody has another suggestions for fostering love and kindness in the world? It's hard for me to see you, so you can just unmute if you have something that pops up for you.
Yes, one of my teachers, Sydney Banks, always said regarding this that everyone is doing the best they know how.
Beautiful.
Not the best they can, but the best they know how. So accept that and help them. So
yes. Thank you, Paul. And with that in mind, it's important that we'll be able to send love to ourselves, to the one close to us, and even to the people that we don't know, and even to people we considered others or have energy with. It's like the meditation of sending love, sharing love, and being in love is a worthwhile endeavor. Now, within each one, we also need to look at what is our strength in this area, or what needs to be adjusted in the area, in this area. So, for example, I may want to ask myself, just how my that's another sorry. Oh, it moved to another pathway. Yes. How comfortable am I expressing love, or am I holding back? Am I afraid to be vulnerable? How can I grow my loving nature? So there's room for exploration. Now, in this process that I told you of the 50 days of diving deep into our levels of holiness, we spend a week with this exploring and asking questions and stretching our edges around being loving and receiving love. Anybody has anything to add about either an inquiry or question to ask around love or encouragement? In a minute, I'm actually going to share 3 of those qualities, and then we'll have a little discussion. So the first one, again, let's just kind of really feel the outstretched arm and our capacity to give and give unconditionally. Okay, so that's the right arm. Now, to balance it, the left arm is more like to really be in balance. We can only give. We need to be able to have some container. So the right arm represents our capacity to set limits. Okay, so if love is the bedrock of human expression, discipline, Gevura gives us direction and focus to the boundless energy of love. So the symbol that we usually have to represent Gevura is the stop sign, or like, here's my capacity. And I had to really learn that because I am a naturally giving person. And it took me many years to understand that, giving without a clear container can create confusion, chaos, all kinds of expectation or being drained. So it's really essential that we will be able to be balanced. And one of the ways we foster Gevura is get clear on limits, being aware of my preferences and wishes and desire, and kind of being able to say, hell no. And I don't know about you, but it took me about 50 years before I was able to really be comfortable to be saying, no, doesn't work for me, and for some of us who tend to be softer and love, not connected to our strength, I'm really encouraging you to, stamp your feet, look into the mirror in the bathroom and scream and raise a fist. Those little motions actually expand our capacity to connect to our strength, even though I know for myself, again, I had to really do baby steps until I really was able to be comfortable and at ease with telling guests who came to my house, here's what I can give you and here's what I'm not open to. I used to think that, as a host, I need to give everything I have. So yes, confronting a friend. Now, in terms of our connection to boundary, is also being aware of our body and our skin. This is where we are, and this is where the rest of the world is. Some of us having some challenges around that. So I'm encouraging us to really explore your connection to how easy it is for you to set limits, especially with loved ones. So some of the questions to inquire within is what adjustments I need, what adjustments are needed in the way I advocate for my limits or preferences and desires. Can I really speak without being concerned of approval? Can I really be free in my speaking and taking a stand? So this is Gevura, okay? So this is our emotional expression, the loving and the power of feeling our strength and our ability to set limits. Okay, so this is and then in the center is Tiferet, which is kind of being seen as the heart region, is the balance. And this whole tree of life is like a cosmic map that guides us into living fully and living in balance. So compassion blends and harmonizes the free outpouring love of chesed with the discipline of gevura. And that kind of, when we say tiferet, which really means beauty, but it has to do with truth, the power of truth that is accessed through when we are able to connect to compassion and respond by suspending our personal prejudice, kind of not coming from the self, really coming from kind of coming from, when we come from ego, we get to be pulled in different direction. But what we encourage to practice in developing tiferet is what is present without my personality, my triggers. How can I just really practice speaking the truth and especially accessing it through being compassionate with myself and with others. So some of the pathways to foster tiferet has to do with calming our nervous system, going on nature walk, being barefoot. Listening to bird songs is really, listening to birds chirping is something more and more, something wonderful that scientists are encouraging us to surround ourselves with in order for us to be to calm our nervous system. So singing, humming, sipping tea, slowing down our system, meditating, even hug yourself, to connect to self-empathy. And we need, we often are compassionate with others, but we really need to be connected to self. And another one is the gratitude and forgiveness journal. Help us to be in feeling interwoven, being in harmony. So what adjustments are needed in the way I care for myself when I'm triggered, upset, or concerned? How do I anchor insight and awareness from experiences of challenges? How do I celebrate progress? So all of this helps us to be actively engaged in celebrating our love and our strength. So with that in mind, I would like to revisit the three sefirot, the three energetic centers that we acknowledge: the loving kindness, with the outstretched arm, our ability to set limits, and our ability to access truth and beauty. So I would like to open this, I would like to discuss this or share now, maybe with a show of just visually. I would like to know which of those qualities you have a strength. I'm going to actually stop sharing right now so I can see you better. And so let me see, just a minute, view of everybody, view everyone, view, gallery. Okay, so we have the loving kindness, which is right arm. We have the ability to, no, okay, that's the strength. And then we have the ability to be in the center, interwoven. So let's see, can you show with your motion, which one of them is something that you are feeling strength and natural flow with, that you say, I have it, got, I'm good with that. It's fully developed. Okay, so which one of them? So this is, this is me. Okay, I got it. Ooh, I see Mary Grace being able to be with both. I see that. Okay. Anybody, which one is really good with boundary setting? Let's with a, like, okay. Okay, and some of us, yeah, definitely need to develop that. And how many of us feel balance, that we are able to, we are comfortable with our lovingness and boundaries? Yes, I see Thomas is so, Christina and Lisa is, yes, and Lavita is sending a love, always. Okay, I see Ruth raising her hand, and so I'm going to open for sharing in the next minute or two. If anything is, got revealed to you, or anything you would like to take in or anchor from the last few minutes.
So this is so wonderful for me. This is Ruth speaking. I started studying Kabbalah about 30 years ago, and I realized there's no end. There's no way where you reach a point where you can't be studying any longer. It's a lifelong study. And one of my big takeaways was there is such a thing as too much good. And there are some sayings we have learned, like those who are kind to the cruel end up being cruel to the kind, because the idea of unconditional love without boundaries creates an imbalance. And we can see it especially in parenting. We all know parents who have been overly permissive with their children and have not set boundaries. And it creates, neurotic children, and then parents who are so punitive and punishing that they rob their children of the capacity to love. So it's not like finding something that is good and then deciding I'm going to be this. I think, like you're pointing out, is that the tree of life, it's about the balance of it, the center, the spine of the combining those two opposites that we're really aiming for. We're not aiming for just loving kindness. We're aiming for loving kindness tempered, by Gevura, by that. And I remember that's always that's the challenge. And one of the things, Rina, that I discovered, or was pointed out to me, is that Tiferet, the beauty center that you talk about, of truth and beauty and love, is the only sphere which is totally connected to every other one. When you see the lines that are drawn, it's the one, the center, that is connected to every single other sphere. When you see the lines, some of them are connected to each other, one or two, but the one that is connected to every single one is the one that is truth, beauty in the center. So I really appreciate your beautiful drawings and the points you've made. Really enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and we're kind of, they're all interconnected, and one fits the other. It will all help us to be, as I said, bring into our manifested reality, into the physical realm, the best that we can offer. Right. So thank you, Ruth. You mentioned children, and I want to say this: in every relationship, we really need to pay attention to, to having a good measure of strength and kindness. Any other comments? I see Caroline. Yes, and Thomas. Let's hear from Caroline.
I just wanted to say that part of loving, well, I
Yes.
guess it's just what you're talking about with the boundaries. That part of loving is having boundaries, and sometimes it's tough love, and sometimes it's somebody's struggling and you're letting them figure it out themselves, all by themselves.
Mm.
And, you know, just being loving is like being a parent. It's like being a person with anybody else, including animals, I guess. That's what I
Yes.
wanted to say, that loving, part of loving already is a boundaries
Very
and
good
the
point.
yeah, okay.
Very, very good point. Talking from a Jewish mother in recovery, learning that I don't have to solve everybody or to, you know, to everyone's problem. Yes, that they have the power to figure this themselves. And Thomas, what is it
Yeah,
you want to
thank you,
share?
Rina. When you asked a few minutes ago, what is a pathway to expanding loving kindness? And then a moment later, you asked, what's a pathway to learning about the boundaries and setting
Yes.
limits? My first thought was playing with my 2-year-old granddaughter is an effortless pathway to expanding the loving kindness and the joy. I'm immersed in it when I'm with her. It's not a cognitive learning. I'm just swimming in it.
Yeah.
And then the boundaries and the limits naturally occur because she's into this. She loves me so much. She will run across the room full speed and crash into me. And so we're negotiating how much love to give and how to slow down a little bit. So that was my association to those questions. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing the joy of children and play, the power of play. Beautiful. Yes, Lisa.
So I love this, Rina. And this is exactly where I am right now. It's finding the balance within myself and what I need to do when I have a challenge. And I'm realizing that challenges are actually a blessing because it forces me to shift. It forces me to change my perspective about things. But I also love the fact that you mentioned birds and grounding ourselves. And I realize how important that is. So, for example, a long time ago, I went to a retreat up in Malibu, and you have a lot of quiet time. And I was sitting out in the garden early in the morning, and I heard these beautiful mourning doves. And now, every time I hear a mourning dove, I equate that feeling of peace and serenity. So for me, it's finding things like, for example, my drawing that bring me back to center. And I think that that's one of, that's my journey in this lifetime, is finding the balance between challenges and things that bring me closer to my center.
Beautiful. And that's and now I would like to explore. I'm going to go back to the presentation here, and oops, screen. Okay, share. Okay, and so I would like to go back now. So that was the emotional realm of our experience, and then there is why it's not happening. Okay, and then I would like, let's go down our body. We talked about the arms, we talked about the heart area. Now I want you to kind of put your hands on your right hip, the right hip. Give it a little push, like a little, feel that the power of your right hip and the power of the right, of the leg to step forward. There is power, the ability to take action. So the name for that energy, the energy that is stored in that area is called victory, netzach. Netzach. It has to do with endurance, perseverance, and the word that really works for me is steadfastness. Okay, and I'm going to acknowledge this is an area I need to develop a lot, because there's some has to do with staying focused. Okay, so endurance and ambition is a combination of determination and tenacity. It is the balance of patience, persistence, and guts, being reliable and accountable. Okay, so and as part of the way I had to kind of work on it is to really, when there's something that is challenging for me, I actually exaggerate, making the first step forward. And also with my arm, I believe that when we in the somatic communication to our brain, that sometimes those motions activate a sense of readiness. So that's kind of that's the energy of Netzach, like being ready to take on what needs to be taken on, and even if it's not going with ease, sticking to it. Kind of calling for that Netzach, for that endurance. So let me see, what do we have here in the air? So what adjustments are needed? Okay. How do I stay motivated when facing breakdown? Oh, actually, before that, anybody has, I guess I forgot to write, how we foster Netzach. Oh, I have here. Yes, we set goals. We take on edgy challenges. We go on a hike and we kind of like really wrestle with the mountains and the rocks, like really feel yourself conquering. Some people take a hot and cold plunge to really feel alive in their body. Or, the energy of sweat lodge, the being there for a long time and going on that journey, even if it feels like, oh, I can't stand it anymore. It's like just allowing for that, going the extra mile. Okay. Also collaboration on projects allow us to really deal with some challenges that happen when we have to work with people, but we overcome it, and there's a great sense of things we can accomplish when we stay on task, when we ask for support, when we offer support. So it has all of those will give us more netzach, more endurance. Anybody has suggestions for other ways to foster that kind of endurance?
Make a long-term commitment.
Long-term commitment, beautiful.
Yeah, like to a year worth of staying in a relationship when otherwise I'd be inclined to flee in the old days, or committing to completing a dissertation or completing a marathon.
Exactly.
Those box myself into, that's the setting goals, I think.
It's a setting goal, but commitment is a wonderful word. It's like it's like the North Star. When we have a commitment, it helps us to rise over all the hama the text. Oh, I don't like it. I need to get better move. I can be free. I can I have my peace of mind if nobody bugs me. But it's the commitment that helps us to sail through rough seas. So thank you for that. So that's our right. I was about to kick up, to do a big kick right now. So that's our right leg, are going forward, and the balance, the other sensory element is hod. So that's our left. So instead of like, I'm asking you to put your hand, and I want you to kind of circle your left hip along the leg, kind of being kinder, being aware of the curves of our body, connecting to the splendor of our existence. You know, I was very moved by this image I found. You know, in humility is like, be like the bamboo. The higher you grow, the deeper you bow. It's like, can we really go through life and yes, we can take action. Yes, we can go forward. And do we have the strength of character to be still, to appreciate, to be in awe, to understand the things happening in the world that are even bigger than us, that we are just a little piece of the puzzle, you know, to put things in perspective, that kind of spiritual humility that will balance I can do it, I'm all about it. So having both of those centers activated will give us a lot more aliveness. A life force will circulate in a more potent way. Okay. So cultivate heart with appreciation, poetry, acts of charity, giving compliments, you know, either creating art, engaging in art, in mindful walking, in mindful speaking, in mindful eating, and mindful touching, kind of doing things with reverence, you know, with yeah, you know, blessing what is, being in a place of allowing, instead of always feeling like we need to manipulate something to get what we want. So, you know, what adjustments are needed in the way I walk in peace? Do I approach things in peace? Do I make space for others to shine? And am I am I doing kind things and helping others and not having to get the spotlight on me and getting recognition? Am I able to defer to teachers and masters? How do I care for plants and pets and others who don't necessarily able to care for me in return? Can I just take care of things? So that's some of the ways to connect to the energy that we say is in our left hip and leg, that gives us the softer appreciation of life. So we had Netzach on the right hip, and we have Hod on the left hip, and then comes the next one, the balance. In the tree of life, it's when you have both of them come together into the center of our genital area, and that's called Yesod. Yesod, our foundation. Yesod means foundation, but it's our ability to bond. Okay, so you know, the element, if it's like, it's not good for men to be alone, you know, bonding is our ability, you know, we cannot do bonding on our own. It's like, bonding is the ultimate emotional connection where you must engage with your whole self. We all need an experience of bonding in order to flourish and grow as human. And bonding, you know, we can bond with our dog, we can bond with loved ones, we can there are different ways of bonding, but we need to really like be nourished through a relationship. It's about the power of being in relationship and relating. So it's not just kind of removing it's not just having the focus on self. It's about how do I move that energy into the back and forth. That's the nature of bonding. So, and it doesn't have to necessarily mean bonding, kind of a man-woman kind of bonding. Even though I wrote, you know, Pathways to Foster Yesod is, some people will say, first of all, it's you can foster a sense of bonding actually through prayer, through meditation too, through eye gazing. But I also added the cuddle, the kissing, the holding hands, our ability to get naked and appreciate this body that allows us to have sensations, to bond through our sensation, through massage, I can, as I told you, all my edits did not show up here. But that's the element of Yesod, okay? Our ability to weave all our inner making and show up, being able to relate with another, okay? So with that in mind, we just finished the last, we just acknowledged the bottom three emanations, energy centers, the Netzach, the I'm going forward, the Hod, which is humility and beauty. And when we have it all in balance, we're able to really shine in our connection. So I would like to open now the conversation into some sharing. Just a second. Yes, out of those three, the Netzach, the Hod, and Yesod. Is there anything that comes up for you, the area that you feel like, I have some strength in it, or here's something I would like to develop more out of those three? What is calling you? What is speaking to you right now? So I'm opening this to sharing right now.
Oh, also, Rina, we have 3 minutes, so.
Beautiful. So we'll have 1 minute of sharing, and we're just going to finish with the last one. Yes, I see Tim. Oh my gosh, you showed up.
I was really taken by Netzach and Hod. My earlier life was victory, going for things, accomplishing goals, persistence, never giving up. And it's like all those boxes are checked. I love Hod. It's so calling me now. It feels so right and so perfect. Almost like working your way down through this tree, through these different spots as you grow and mature. So very beautiful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing those. Images were great too.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and with that in mind, thank you, Tim, for speaking for all of us. And I'm just going to see what else is showing up in the presentation that didn't, let's see what happens with my edits. Okay, what's going on? There is the last part, this whole tree of life actually takes us into Malchut on the bottom. If you can see that, it shows Malchut, which is the one word for it is kingdom, but it's about being a sovereign, being able to, another word for it is nobility. But as you can see, if we look at the top, the Keter, the energy comes from above, that sense of connected to source, being informed by source, by spirit, and going through our Chokhmah and Bina, our awareness and our ability to learn and apply our wisdom. And then we go into our ability to share love, which is the source of what makes life, it's like the engine of life. But then we need the Gevura to be able to, Gevura is like the vehicle, so we can communicate and share. And then we talked about Tiferet, the harmony, the compassion that is needed, a balance between our way we give and hold back. And then we talked about the netzach, the go for it, and the allowing, the being quiet, the appreciation. We talked about yesod, the power of bonding and celebrating our capacity to bond and feel deeply and experiencing even, pleasure, which is a divine gift. And then when we have all of this kind of experience, and then it all shoots into malchut, into our physical reality in this world, like, then we're able to really give our gifts in a way that we are being seen and gotten and celebrated. And this is what I wish for us. And this little tree reminded me of how nice it is to be in connection. And may we all live in balance, joy, and harmony within and with each other, because we all need that to coexist in peace. So with that, I'm saying shalom. May we take this into the world. May we have less suffering in the world and more celebrations. Thank you.
Yasher koach, yasher koach.
Yes. Thank you. Take it from here, Bill.
Well,
I
Rina,
assume we don't have time for questions or anything.
Rina, would you stop the screen share?
Yes, there.
That was beautiful, Rina. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.